underestimate KRU.
Absolutely. A lesson that we have learned time and time again. If any team can show up and upset the previous champions, it is, of course, going to be KRU. With the Masters win under their belt, FPX will look to add to that with an IceBox victory here, starting the series off on KRU's map pick. And the attacking side already picking up the pace. They have left a lurk of Nagza towards that A site to look for some picks and aggression. And they found a pick over towards B, but it's shut down immediately by Artis.
It's just going to be that instant trade. Seas actually is going to catch Mazzino out, so a little bit of a problem for him, at least in these initial stages, but he's just going to take that deep space, already managing to find a kill and looking for a little bit more. It's shaky, but he gets the job done.
Fantastic start, and now Mazzino able to heal himself up as well, so he'll be close to 100 whenever they come into this late round fight. And of course, only Sagetsu left, only a matter of time before he fell. 1-0 for KRU. A very strong start here in the pistol round, and I think a sign of what's to come in terms of those all-out bursts of aggression, but leaving Nagza to roam the map and try to pick up some space on his own elsewhere.
I think the thing that really excites me about this matchup, and it links back to what Achilles was saying on the desk, I think Xiao statistically at the last event was the best Sage. In my opinion, the best Sage in the world is Mazzino. And just for the reason of how much control he's able to get on that defensive side, and just the amount of times you've seen him frag out to a crazy degree on this map in particular. So I think it's maybe one of the first times ever we're going to have the two Sages as probably my highlight players.
There is one player above them from what I recall, which was Sadik, but he had a much lower amount of rounds played than anyone else. So again, we want sample size to be the main driving force behind those statistics, and certainly I agree with you there. It does seem to lean towards Mazzino, an interesting battle to keep our eye on as this series develops. Now, KRU on this attack side, they're obviously poking and prodding towards the B site, but to be honest, I'm not sure that they can even go back. Zero information at this point. Players could have pushed A and mid. I mean, they're running into a vacuum if they decide to bail, but because they've made this much noise, FPX have already rotated in. They've stacked up heavy on this side of the map.
Artis able to do a little bit of damage, but the only real danger here is the amount of players, but more importantly, that headhunter, and they got rid of it. The 0 point removed that before he could even get anything done. You can see all the counter utility. That's the one real benefit of this FPX comp, is having that nade, having the C's, having the snake bites as well, but once that runs out, it's quite an easy plan.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm really enjoying the wall that they're putting down. I think there's possibilities if you even leave it a little bit more to the left for the wall banks to come through, but you can see they were nice and safe. And the pistols coming back in. A good kill for Angel represents at least some damage now. Of course, a frenzy in the hands of Mazzino as he'll look to recover one of these rifles, and so too will Delzik. And with nobody else lost, they should walk out of here with pretty much everything to play with. There you go. The Spectre, both rifles, and of course both pistols also carried over, which can be dropped to their teammates. Oh, although I immediately saw Vandals in their hands.
Well, that's the thing. They have stolen this straight out of the scrapbook of FPX. This is what they were running for the entirety of the last tournament.
Look at that. What an interesting statistic. In their opening match at Copenhagen, KRU defeated the previous event's finalists 2-1, and that was loud. It's an opportunity to come in and do the same.
It also kept their stat going of never losing to a Brazilian team. So that's something that KRU were able to do for quite a serious amount of time, and I think many expected Loud to win that one. They then lost, I think it was like 16-14 in OT on the third map to Guild, and then went out to Optic. So it really was a group of death, but this time around, I would say there's more opportunities for them. Looking at the likes of Xerxia and Exa, I think KRU would probably feel favored versus both of those teams.
This third round definitely represents a challenge most of the time, but this is about as even of a third round as you could physically get. The caveat being KRU have all of that economy. And again, just look at how many players they lost in the previous round. You know, they managed to get 2 kills on the side of FPX, which normally is decent, but because of the way they play it, they're stacked up, they've got credits, and now they're stalling out. They're not looking to blitz into a site because they can allow FPX to take some peeks and then punish with these Vandals. In fact, they're doing a massive amount of damage, even just with the utility, as Sagetsu ends up falling on the way back. That's the wall gone to defend A site for retakes, and KRU still have 40 seconds to decide on where they're going.
Yeah, if they're going to fall back, they're going to have to do it pretty soon. Nags has spotted absolutely nobody pushing through on that rotation, so chances are they won't have a fully stacked up B site, but here comes the utility. They do at least still have their wall to try and get into the afterplan. Actually, Kessler looks like he's about to get aggressive.
Yep, he's right into their spawn, and a free kill to Zip and ult pop. That's going to stop counter utility coming through. and maybe allow him to get rezzed, at least distract them a moment longer as Nagsit comes up to trade out that life. They might still be able to get over there and recover him if they can deal with good old Artis. He's being pushed on and the kill is found. Will they get him? No. No, they won't. Just about missed out. Either way, a third round when this should have been a bonus, where at best they look to do damage to the FPX economy.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, these rounds are ones that you kind of want to see FPX getting onto the board. One of the things where they did have a fair amount of success versus Fnatic was Artis on this defensive side. Like, him being able to pressure very far forward off the back of Chamber. Now, a lot of the time you are going to struggle to go as far forward now with the nerfs that have come in. But a lot of the rest of their composition actually struggled, especially when it came to that attacking side. So I am intrigued to see what the changes are going to be here, because at least in the early stages of the round, Kesnet has been kind of running riot with these opening battles. And that's the thing. He is someone that I genuinely believe is one of the best players in the entirety of the world. If he starts off strong here, I could easily see this map slipping away from FPX.
Yeah, well, I mean, he already has started off strong, right? We saw both of those flashes result in a kill. 100% success rate by a round so far whenever he pops one of those. Solid start, pistols for FPX, and again, a shift to the B site as they massively stack up this side. You know, we will see a lot of teams pressure into A consistently, but it seems like KRU have a very different take on it. The thing is, I guess it is becoming a bit readable, because here comes the entirety of FPX to try and make the push up. Deal some damage. KRU seem to be spooked, though, by the amount of bodies they just saw.
Well, that's the thing. Nags really isn't like pushing as deep as most lurkers will when it comes to this map, especially with the amount of information they already have. But this time around, I think his teammates just spotted so many people that he's just made his way all the way through into the A stand. Now, the rotation is going to be here with a relative amount of time, and there is some utility they can try and use to at least do some damage, but a much deeper Sage wall, only pistols to destroy it, and a plant that goes down once more.
I don't think there's much that can really be done here. FPX will do well to find any kills, and we have to be realistic. You know, the economy is massive for KRU right now. They need to chip away at it, and they're doing just that. 2 quick kills and an opportunity to actually get back in here. Mazzino, though, fragging up. His res was online from the start of the round, and, well, I doubt they're going to use it here for economy, but they don't even need to.
No.
They're 4-0 in the lead. They're dominating these fights. And they've already had essentially a cycle of ultimates that they've used, and they're about to come online at the same time as their opponents. Like, this is an unreal attacking side.
The only reason I could see him using it is because I genuinely believe he'll get it back in a couple
That's
of rounds.
exactly it. It's like he had it at the start of that round, he would have had 3 more orbs by the end between planting and maybe picking one off the floor as well. He could be halfway to the res.
Well, yeah, he's someone, especially if you look at the LATAM LCQ, was in the top 5 for the majority of stats, still while playing more supportive, quote-unquote, agents, but he doesn't really play them in that manner. That's the other thing. I do feel like him and Xiao play the Sage in a very, very different way. Still have so much success. Nice start for Nags as well. Like, you've seen the investment of the tour de force onto Artis. Angel already down. This was one of the criticisms we had of him early in the tournament, was that he was dying a lot. Now, he did clean that up when they got Saigetsu back in, but that trend may be coming back a little bit early here.
I'll also accept it more when you're playing the Fade versus the Breach. I mean, that Haven in particular comes to my mind, where he was jumping out on A long and getting opt in most rounds, it felt like. And I remember looking at the stats, and I think in terms of breaches and first deaths, he was just like convincingly at the top, because nobody else plays Breach the way Angel does. The same thing when it comes to Brimstone back in the day, and evidently now a Fade starting things out. So, with him gone, FPX are actually able to find the trade on a Mazzino, which means no res to play with. And the wall's already down and broken open. They've got a decent foothold to retake into this, as long as they don't lose anyone before that. And in fact, they gain another kill.
Xiao just looks like he's come online in this round. A couple of kills already, giving them that advantage. Now, they will have a little bit of after-plant utility still to play with. You can see the snake bites going in, but Zipan just running forward. And actually, Saigetsu gets an instant headshot as well. Took them a little bit of time to get onto the board, but FPX do it actually relatively clean.
Yeah, much more convincing round out of these guys this time around, and I think especially having lost Angel right away, maybe this just signals KRU need to go B every single round. There's just don't go to the A side, even with the advantage now. But for Angel, it's always been a perplexing thing to watch this man play, because where you come in and will hail the majority of Fade players for having the lowest, the absolute definitive lowest first deaths per round, and first kills. Just any participation in the first fight that isn't like your utility, you're not doing, is pretty much how you play Fade. It's not how Angel plays Fade. He's always tried to reinvent the way these agents work. It didn't work in the previous round, but they still got the win.
So this is more of the expectation I had of Ardis. Deep B control. As you mentioned, it's somewhere that's been contested very regularly for KRU. I think that was the first round. They didn't actually go in this direction at the start, and he's already managed to find an opener and has actually stuck around, trying to spam a little bit, but he does get caught for it. Delzik swinging back has evened things up, and actually, Showstopper instantly pushed. They use it alongside the Nightfall, but it only gets one.
Take a look at the HP, though. Damage has been done. These players are now left super low. Decay down and looking to be pushed on, but Zipan couldn't manage to land that extra point of damage needed to take most of them down. They'll heal up a tiny bit, but still, the shield's gone from most, and KRU stalled out at this point. I mean, moving forward, you see how much time they burn just breaking that wall, and they don't have one of their own, so safely planting is almost impossible. They do, however, have a Viper's Pit on Delzik.
It's maybe just waiting for that wall to break before he actually places it.
You also have both bodies behind them, so that res in play for FPX isn't really usable unless they rotate to A.
But that's the other unfortunate truth. Mazino has gone down first both rounds where he's actually had that. These aggressive plays not working out, and actually Xiao again is going to catch the angle onto Nags. This now becomes fairly difficult just with the HP. Even getting anything here will be so tough. Even going for the Viper's Pit probably isn't worth it, and it will be another cleanup with 3 players surviving for FPX.
You can definitely understand why the Viper's Pit doesn't come in there. In the situation, looking at the mini-map, it's very easy to almost become frustrated and thinking, like, just put it down and you'll cross and get the plant or whatever. But the reality is a stray bullet at that point will take you down, and you do not want to commit such an important ultimate on a whim like that where most of your team just gets wrecked. I can accept it, for sure. And FPX can accept it as they pick up a second round. Now 2 in a row, starting to build a bit of a streak.
Yeah, this is also where the economy will fade out for KRU. The last couple of rounds, they've had a bit of a bank to fall back on, but ultimately they've spent all of that to get back into this round. Going for more of a default. It does seem you've got a very passive position from Nags, almost just holding for any sort of aggressive peak, but the double up of both Chamber alongside the Raze playing into that B site, and then on A at least, it's just going to be the almost try and slow them down as much as possible. You've got the Viper screen, you've got the slows, and you've also got the wall if you need it.
I find it interesting how committed they are a lot of the time. We've seen at least 2, I want to say 3 rounds where KRU have been sat outside B site with, like, at most a player mid, but often it's been all 5.
It'll just be Nags.
And the same thing here, where 5 players are moving towards this site, and that's plenty of targets for Xiao to wall bang onto. That's 1 connection, 1 more needed. He's so low, but he's surviving. The heal can come back online. They want to hunt him down here and now before that's a reality. And he's gone!
Oh, he's got stuck by the snake bite. His own wall that kind of left him trapped. Now the Viper's Pit is going to go in with the res. Oh, it's a little bit awkward. Actually, Zipan is going to manage to drop 1, but they lost a teammate in response, and Kesnit behind them is going to get an instant double headshot. 5 on the board now. Already a pretty decent half, kicking things off for KRU again. I would say that I expect Mazino to do the majority of his work when it comes to that defensive side, although I am looking at the fact he's already got 10 assists in 7 rounds. The Sage effect.
Absolutely. He's popping those heals. Hasn't even gotten them off the res as well. That's the wonderful thing. This Viper's Pit here is kind of interesting because it gives you this fantastic angle to play off with the Sage Wall there. Now, if the Sage Wall disappears, it could put, or obviously they break it, not just vanishes. I'm assuming you're going to have like a Viper Orb on the spike itself and then be able to throw in your Snake Bites if that's a 1v1. Like pivoting like that, I don't mind because it cuts off so much control for your opponents. Rather than turtling on the site, letting them set up for the retake and bursting into your pit, you're going forward and making them spend a lot of time before they even get onto the site.
Again, FPX is going to take a timeout. I think it's one that's necessary. As mentioned, I think a lot of the success with this composition in particular, they had on that defensive side, being able to be aggressive with Ardis. I feel like in a lot of cases, he's been not playing badly, but just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Or maybe overstaying his welcome in one of the rounds where he could have just escaped. So he hasn't had the same success. I also think just Saigetsu off to a slow start, which is not something you really see too often. Obviously, in the previous tournament, he came in basically right near the end of potentially them even being eliminated after they just qualified through. But Yeah, maybe needing to get off the mark a little bit. One away from having a Viper's Pit. More importantly, though, on the other side, you do have yourself a null command, which normally makes me think you're going to lean in towards that A side just because of how close you can get with it. But, again, early round, crew have been very happy to lean towards B.
Okay, that's a ton of information. Nobody on the back of yellow and a drone coming up. Now, FPX have set their trap on yellow, focusing on some A aggression. A prowler down through middle sees absolutely nothing. Yeah, I'm wondering, SE Angel's still floating around this place. Inside the orb, making sure they weren't crossing through and just containing the information. But we've seen it from crew already. Stack up 5 outside B and play the most patient and passive first minute, then blitz into the site, and here comes that attack. And with the ultimate, they're not too worried about anything coming through to counter this plant. It's more or less guaranteed.
Yeah, the spam will try and break it, but they've got to be a little bit careful. Vandals on the other side will give it away, and a shot actually not connected. Looked like it would have been a free kill to at least start things off. He gets there in the end, though. Zipan down, and Artist hoping he can do the same.
They should realize there could be an AWP in play for FPX. The money definitely allows it. Oh, the positioning is huge. Kesnet, I don't know that he got that kill off the flash, but off the positioning for it at least. That AWP left on Artist so far away and thinking of saving Shirley at this point. And there you go. They turn tail, run to the A site. That is another round for crew, and an impressive one at that. Kesnet, the only man to die, and well, I mean, he was really pushing his limits on that one.
Well, that's the thing I think is really causing so many issues. You've got the Viper screen just down in a position where they're almost just waiting for it to go back up, and then he pushes forward almost every single time, either to make a flash through it, which some were waiting for, or if they push through like that, he just has the free kills on the other side. From FPX, it just looks a little bit disjointed. Like, Angel's already through. The rest of the team don't even look like they're in a position to go anywhere near the edge of the site. And so it just makes that kill very, very easy for Kesnet. By that point, the round is basically done. So, yeah, crew just having an absolute field day every time they head in towards that B site. The same after plant. I don't think they've had to do anything particularly special.
Very true. And you know what? One of the interesting things, watching that back on the minimap, you're probably thinking, why aren't FPX pushing? But it's because Nags has so often been waiting for them to push and then punishing. So they can't. They push up and get some info, hold the control. Now this time around, that aggression is rewarded. They're finding themselves a frag to start it out. We saw that as Kesnet rounded the corner, he got shut down. But with Zipan traded out on the A sites under pressure again, and they've resorted to the B push, containing them completely in the spawn. This is the big difference, Tom. So far, they haven't had this kind of information. Right now, kitchen is clear, spawn is clear. All they need to worry about is mid with Viper, and your A players can stay focused.
The only thing I'll say is, crew don't really go back.
True.
Like, they've been very direct in their plays almost every single round, so you might have them locked in, but they still have the advantage as they go fighting through. So much damage done onto Angel. And denying this afterplant, it's not going to be particularly easy. We're finally seeing Artist actually try and make a move, but the only thing you can really hope for is that someone like Nags goes back to peak. Otherwise, he's just going to have to eventually break that trap.
It was unfortunate at that point as well. It was Angel and Xiao, you know, the Sheriff and the Spectre. When you had these other rifles in play, the site chosen by crew was the right one. They found the weakness, and now they just need to close it out. Again, they've got some serious weaponry that they're up against, though. The AWP on the retake already heard and dealt with. Sagetsu with a good trade, but his teammates are falling like flies, and he's left in the 1v1, the operator of Nags, and just 45 HP for Sagetsu to play with. He's going to try to fake it out, try to bait him in, and he has done it! But Nags connects the shot in the end. 7 rounds fall into crew's lap.
It's actually really interesting. Like, the fact that crew are being so direct in their plays is actually becoming really difficult for FPX, because it's like, we have the map control, we have the information, we know where they're going, we've thrown out our slows, we've tried to counter them as they go for the plant. It's like, but can you trade versus 5 players? No, you can't. You need someone to almost pull off a multi-frag, and the thing is, crew's trading has been really effective. They haven't allowed them to get into a position where they find a double kill, which is something that we sort of mentioned with players like Xiao being so clutch. He's not had the chance. So it's just been really, really difficult to play against.
It reeks of confidence over on the crew side, but maybe that's going to do something for FPX. They've taken down Nags. The early fight is a success, and a follow-up from Sagetsu, even better. They've traded out on back yellow, and Artist can still escape here, but he wants to stick around, cause some more damage. Cost him his life, and a plant can come through. So there is an opportunity now, once again, for KRU to get this one across the line. No res, no Hunter's Fury, and maybe no Sage. Messino. Oh, that's a big oversight.
Messino does manage to turn it back, though. Goes for the swing, but doesn't manage to connect the shots. He is one away. And he's even reading where Zipan might be coming from. The reload will definitely have been heard. Should have a decent idea that he's towards yellow and just looking to try and isolate one of these battles. He'll do just that, but does he expect the player coming in from behind? It seems like he does. Even hearing that boombot coming out, Messino puts it down! It is a 4K for him. The boombot even kills him afterwards, but it doesn't matter. 8-2 in favor of KRU, and FPX looking flustered.
He's got his res online now. That is ridiculous. Again, KRU getting away with these crucial rounds. FPX are desperate to get anything on the board. Yeah, you can see a team like KRU come into their map pick and have a solid attack on IceBox. This isn't the most unreasonable thing in the world, but FPX did choose to start on the defense, and well, they're not looking too good right now. It's so cool to see these watch parties. You saw as well a little earlier, they had the orchestra out and everything. KRU having a wonderful time to start this one off, maybe feeding off the support of the fans back home as they pick up that opening duel yet again.
Yeah, Messino, that's it. It's his map. Like, he's so good at playing the Sage, and just the way he managed to isolate all of those duels, FPX have got to be feeling foolish. Now already losing that opening battle, and after that Red Bull clutch, I don't know if they're going to be able to turn this one back. Nice for Zipan though. He's at least going to be able to get one. And actually, there's no trade from that Hunter's Fury. Either way, once again, we're going to see the wall planted. Get themselves into a decent position.
Yeah, it's a timing thing for FPX a lot. You know, they're getting here a little bit late on those reinforcements for when KRU are already down, and once that wall is up, it's so difficult to deny. And they've been doing such a good job on the side of KRU, but now Artis from behind presents a challenge that is dealt with all too quickly. Barely a moment for FPX to assess the situation, and it's fallen apart again. 9 on the board for KRU. The final round of the half is going to have to go in favor of FPX. I mean, if they don't get out of here with the bare minimum of 3 on their defense,
but it doesn't matter anymore. You got rid of the curse.
It's true.
Like if anything, people in EMEA just should be pretty annoyed at you at this point.
Yeah, maybe actually. Maybe I've replaced it with the 10-2. You know, opened up because it's like you send souls back through the rift and maybe some more escape back out. I've seen The Conjuring. I know what's up.
And then they come out of the photograph, yeah?
Yeah, sure. The photograph of me doing the thing. With the arms up. I appreciated whoever on Twitter said it looks like Omen.
We have got all ults online for FPX. Yes, he's just running and gunning. They have gone straight through the poison orb in mid. A complete change-up of the things they've been doing throughout the entirety of this half. Saiketsu's actually going to win the battle versus Messino, and actually Xiao, the swing out, gets another.
Fantastic stuff. 2-man advantage to play with. Res online, practically all of their ultimates to attempt to close this one out. With a minute on the clock, KRU gonna find it difficult to make any sort of solid decision here. It's pretty much stuck between a rock and a hard place, and Angel. He's making that one a little bit tougher as KRU lose all but one. Klaus, the final man standing. And look at where Sagetsu has made his way to. And this is a nasty position. Thank
you. Yeah. 1v5. Klaus has managed to walk past one. The thing is, it's almost going to end up hindering him because there's not really anybody I think he's going to be able to capitalize a duel. And he's got to actually try and plant, and then he'll be completely surrounded. In fact, they're even watching for it. Angel's going to close thing out. A Prime Gaming flawless as well for FPX to actually end out the half. Not something I was necessarily expecting, but nonetheless, the performance that have come out from KRU is absurd.
Yeah, the first 7-8 rounds, things were looking okay, but streaking together those 5 has just given them such a strong start into the next map. And frankly, FPX are incredibly lucky that they got that final round. If they don't, map's over already. But now with 3 on the board, a pistol win under their belt, perhaps there's a road to redemption, but it is going to be a very, very tough road to make the end of. Let's see if our analyst desk has any faith in FPX.
Well, I think all of EMEA right now is pretty mad at Mitch for expunging the 9-3 curse, potentially.
We have to see
don't
if
know.
it works.
We don't know.
Yeah.
He might just be a terrible druid.
Yeah, for all I know, he could have just said a bunch of random words in, you know, in the Gaelic language, and how am I supposed to?
We have no way of knowing.
I barely even speak English. Anyway, everyone, let's go ahead and talk about what we saw here, because I think one of the players that we were putting a spotlight on was Nags, Seth, and Nags has definitely stepped up here in this game.
Yeah, he absolutely has, but it's also been a very shared effort. While he himself has had some really flashy moments, you take a look at the overall standings between everybody, and they're pretty neck and neck alongside him. So it's very much just everybody on crew being fired up and operating at a similar level.
Yeah, and on the other side, over for FPX, they have been looking a little bit shook. There was a couple rounds like this one where they start things off really, really nicely, but then in the late round, some miscoordination comes through, and this was a big example, right? They try and seize, stop plant, but wall comes up. Mazzino gets it down, and then he just keeps fighting. FPX give him these individual duels, and he's able to win the clutch. What we're seeing from FPX is not what we expect from this team off of their win back at Copenhagen. Heading into the second half, they have to shore up those issues. They're looking shaky. They're going to need a hell of a halftime speech to rally back.
Yeah, it was just so many isolated duels, one after the other, and it just felt like FPX was kind of offering them up on a silver platter. He didn't really, Mazzino didn't really have to outplay too much. They just kept coming out one after the other, and he was just playing like a rail arcade shooter, just kills that one over and over again. And FPX right now just look a little bit out of sorts. Flawless round in the last round, but you know, they need to continue with that.
Heading into the half, there's no Sova. You need to shut down Nags, or he could run away with this game on the operator.
All right, well, it's time to find out if Mitch actually did the deed. Is the 9-3 curse gone? Only one way to find out.
Well, I sure hope I messed up that incantation so we can get a little bit of a more interesting opening to this map. Let's take a look at this. FPX's starting lineup won 65% of their attacking rounds on IceBox at Masters Copenhagen. Well, that stat is going to have to become even more impressive moving on in to this half. They've got 3 rounds to start with.
What percentage would they need to win?
100. 100.
Okay,
you know what, Tom? Aim for perfection. Aim for perfection.
Sorry, well,
take nothing less.
Aim for perfection.
Yep.
And then
nailed it. Nailed it.
Nobody clipped that out of context.
FPX, 3 rounds on the board. They've lost a player. It's Sipan that's gone down right away. The opening duel, the crew, as they just reset. And quite a turtle play. They're right back in towards their spawn. 3 players around there. They've got a nice long peek going through for Nags and content to play the retake on A. I think Artis had a really tough first half. A man I'm used to seeing come out swinging and confident right off the bat, even in his interview, scrapping with his IGL. But now, we've seen him neutered a little bit. I want to have that resurgence here on the attack.
Well, they might need him man down as they try and get back in on this retake. They've already lost their utility, but it is going to be Xiao managing to find one. A TP away, stuck in the corner, but was surviving at least a little bit. Mazzino trading thing back into an advantage, and it's not pretty from either players, but eventually Saigetsu gets the job done. Again, the advantage still sticks for a little longer, but Saigetsu comes up with the multi-frag and gives them their pistol round, their lifeline.
Where did that come from? An incredible round for Saigetsu, one of the standout players, I think it's fair to say, from the previous event.
And he was 1-5 as well early in the first half. So a slow start, but he is starting to build back into things.
Yeah, most definitely. Look at it. There we go. I'm glad we only showed the last clip. You see, we don't get this in EMEA. We show only the first few shots.
We wouldn't have shown the kills. We would have just shown the right clicks that didn't connect.
Every time this guy comes on stage, he's just looking fly. I love it.
So here we go. Couple of pistols. You've also then got yourself the rifles. Interestingly, one of the rifles is actually on Ardis. So normally you see him go for the pistol play with the Headhunter. But in this case, they've actually switched it up. Maybe just expecting him to almost carry them through the rounds or try and earn up orbs for that tour de force. On the other side of things, it's literally 2 Headhunter bullets. So you can't really expect much from crew here.
Forward he goes. They know they're probably going to draw a peek from back yellow, at least they should. There you go. Player pushed back, and now they look to just challenge. I can understand artists skirmishing like this. I don't know what's going on today, Tom. Been a long day, evidently. But,
you speak Irish once, and then, you know,
it's all
you forget how to speak English.
Do you mind if I just do the rest of this in Gaelic? I was just feeling it today. But for crew, you know, with pistols in hand, if they can manage to get themselves a few kills, 2 even, FPX will not feel any sort of hurt from that because they've got 2 pistols to recover. In fact, you already see that, and I actually didn't spot who it was, in either Shao or Angel. Angel, okay. Had the pistol, he's now upgraded, and the same for Sugetsu. That man's also quite close to his ultimate, but they don't seem to be committing anything towards him. So it's just Artis farming up, and Sugetsu will grab one from behind.
It's getting Artis closer to having his online. Obviously, a little bit more expensive than it used to be. Viper's Pit ever closer to being online, and eventually Mizzino will go down as well. So yeah, only the 1 player loss, not going to cost them too much, as it was just a pistol hitting the deck. And now with 5 on the board, this is where we'll see the purchase coming through from both teams.
A very strong purchase that's about to make its way onto our screens, and you can see it there. And very similar to what we saw in the previous half. This did strike me right away when FPX started doing this stage. It's immediately the right way to play, almost. If you can close out those second rounds convincingly. It has its risks about it, but the reward is massive. And FPX are a team that have mastered that. Evidently, Crew have the same ideas, and they're able to do them just as well. Coming into this round, pressure is on. FPX need it to make the comeback happen and to close in that scoreline. That will only just about put them back on close to equal footing. Remember, this wasn't the half that they wanted. They wanted to start on the defensive side. Not sure what that says for the rest of these rounds.
Trap broken, but it was already being watched. Klaus waiting around in that position, and he's now going to clear things out with the drone. That's a piece of utility at least burnt up, and now they look to actually challenge towards A. Now, Mizzino is always very reactive with the way that he uses his Sage utility. First to delay, but the wall will likely go down just as they try to enter the site. If they can pick him off before then, they're going to have a much easier time. Otherwise, it could cause them issues. By the looks of it, well, that wall might be about to go down.
Whoa! So is Mizzino! What a shot by Angel! A double opening for FPX that leaves Crew, well, running for the hills. Klaus is moving in towards Kitchen, and we might already have a save called. Whether that's possible or not, well, it doesn't seem to be. Artis out causing massive damage. And remember, Crew didn't have the money here. They lost the pistol, they lost the follow-up, they invested everything here and now. FPX have a big buffer of credits, and they know that if Crew don't survive with anyone, there'll be no buy in the next round. Serious opportunity here for these players to go out and hunt down the remaining 2, and you can see it. Look how wide they're casting this net. They're sweeping across the map in a line and eliminating anyone they come in contact with.
Well, the other thing as well, with Shao still having a Guardian, you can actually get even a slight upgrade. I don't know if he's going to be able to get there in time to actually pick up the gun, but just the sheer cost that's being caused will leave Crew with very little for their next round, unless Nags can somehow hide it out on yellow, and they are moving in that direction. 1 kill goes his way, but now actually tagged up, caught from behind, and it will be now 6. Only 1 player lost for FPX. Credits are going to be through the roof. And yeah, even a slight upgrade at the end.
Wow, the comeback is on already. With that buffer of credits, you've got 2 buy rounds if anything goes wrong. And Crew, well, they don't. In fact,
that's grotesque. That was actually through the corner.
You're about to see something worse. You're about to see something so much worse. Oh God, switch back to game view. Let's have a look. It's horrible. No one wants to see this.
Hey, I'm starting to think this might be just a Chile Esports thing. Like, we watched this the other day with Leviathan managing to make it work.
Yeah,
with the
they
stingers.
did.
And I'm starting to wonder if maybe Crew have had the same idea. That's not ideal, though. Artis, double swing, headshot. Easy start to the round. And, okay, well, Mizzino was going for an orb. He did get that orb, just not the one he wanted.
With the heal up as well, Artis is surviving a little longer, but eventually he's shut down. 1 kill, though, not going to go a long way. Not with the start that FPX have had. You can see a lot of players making their way onto A. Klaus has got the angle, the stinger in hand. He's not going to be spotted by that, but it's the stinger. You hit that headshot. You got to hit a few more.
Yeah, you need a couple more if that's going to actually do any work. The thing is, it's one of those guns that if you have it in a crossfire with a few players, you really can shred people, but on its own, you need to be so close for it to do any damage, and you can see just the range advantage there. Like, okay, he took a little bit of damage on the way through, but it's just so difficult to get anything done.
Yeah, and they had the idea that you mentioned of just going together, taking those fights as a unit, shredding your opponents. That's why they pushed up in B main, but solid timing, solid read by Artist to hold back, wait for the orb, and then swing on through to take them down. With that, we get a timeout. And this one is called over on the side of KRU. They're going to gather themselves ahead of this massive comeback by FPX, now just 2 behind them after a 9-3 half. The advantage that they gained is starting to slip away. Like, this is their map pick, but after the attack side going the way that it did, knowing that even just the pistol would put you one buy round away from taking it across the line versus now, the mood has got to be falling a little bit, so I can definitely agree with this timeout just to take stock of where you're at.
The thing is as well, like, I struggle to believe that KRU will win either of the next 2 maps. Like, I think Bind was on that was a bit of a... It was an interesting pick just because of how bad it went versus Optic, but I genuinely think Optic are one of the best teams in the world on Bind. Other than that, it has been very dominant for FPX, like beating Guild 13-4, Fnatic 13-7, PaperX 13-3, like 3 incredible teams within that map. So, and then you have Ascent, which has, in my eyes, has been my favorite map to watch FPX on. It's a good map for KRU, but ultimately I don't see them winning either of those. So getting off to a flying start here and then losing, especially if it continues in this fashion, that's going to be tough to take, and I think that might be them out of the series. So we need to see a response, and with an operator in hand for Nags, it's going to be an aggressive start actually for FPX, taking some deep control early, and actually Zipan, what, I think almost sub 10 seconds gets a kill.
Yeah, a fantastic start. KRU down 1 man already, pressure on for B, walls coming through, and so are the rest of FPX fully committing to this site. KRU are a little slow on the rotate. They didn't overcommit to it. Mazzino able to find one. He's delaying a little. He's got a wall to counter, but he's being swung. It's dangerous, and he'll just about make it to safety behind. A trade comes in, and I mean, that's perfect. Mazzino's wall distracts long enough as he attempts to put it down that they drop Artist. They get a foothold around the side of Yellow. A quick kill, and now some danger. Sagetsu, he's walking around with full HP. Xiao is beside him. They've got a res, but no opportunity to use it safely. And if they find Sagetsu, this may well be all over. Xiao is only barely holding on, and he's dropped now. The Viper, the last man standing. And that op shot, it takes him out of the round. FPX's streak has been put to an end, and KRU finally hit double digits.
Yeah, I think a lot of KRU's initial plans for this round didn't work. Like, the idea with the wall is I think he wanted to wall up the player planting, and it just didn't work. But luckily, he catches one there, but also, in the meantime, Kesnit is just fragging. Like, he's just finding players every single time he rounds a corner. Like, it's just filth how good this man is individually. And that's always been the thing with this KRU roster. Like, you look at some of the clutch percentages for them playing in LATAM through the qualifier, it's actually ridiculous. I think 3 of their players were within, like, I think it was the top 5 of clutch percentage. 3! That's absurd.
This comes incredibly close in that previous round, off the back that you have Artist going for that fight, missing the first shot, and then sticking around to try and re-aggress as the wall goes down. It was terrible timing, and obviously the focus was on getting that Viper's pit down, not on, you know, making Artist aware he needs to run for the hills or face to spawn. And Kesnit just hit an immediate one shot to the head. Without that happening and the follow-up from Kesnit around side of Yellow, that round goes completely differently. And I think KRU, at this point, they can be happy to have taken that one across the line, but they've got to be cautious in the way they approach the rest of this. For now, ult's massively in their favor. FPX are close to a couple.
The wall again, just putting the normal plant position, just trying to make things that little bit more awkward on this push in from FPX. And they've actually switched up quite heavily, really deep control from Nags to hold on to the A site, so they can stack up over on this side.
Might have been meant for up top, either way. Looks like they're going to try and get this plan through. Snakebite landing could cause some serious trouble. Damage done. Xiao will heal up, though, as the decay starts to fade away, and you see the damage wasn't actually that much. In fact, with a heal of his own used, he's practically back up to full HP, above half shields. Artist tucked up close, won't find anything. One and then the Viper's pit. We're slowing it down.
Yeah, that's the thing. They've got the null command, so I think they were going to try and use that just to take the extra space instead. If Viper's pit comes through, it might just be a little bit of an oversight, but maybe they did need it. They've just been slaughtered by FPX. Every single player getting a kill within a second, and now Nags is just trying to hold on to this operator. He won't be allowed to. FPX holds strong. Again, this comeback continues with an 8th round, and KRU I'll be interested to see what their finances are like. I think it was clean enough in the last round that they should be okay.
I mentioned coming into this half that Artis had a really tough time starting things out. I think his defensive side, we saw a lot of duels that Nags was able to win, or just various players from KRU were able to shut it down on some of these really tough yellow peaks or A site peaks, despite the odd victory up against Kesnet. But now, he is certainly starting to hit his stride in a very different way.
Has 2 kills between top and bottom. It's not something you see too regularly. Well, this purchase isn't perfect. Delzic's actually going to be using his Viper's Pit and just playing with a Stinger inside it, so we'll see how that works out for him.
Interesting.
I think the idea is just to try and force them into the other angles, though. Nags with the Tour de Force on the other side and everybody else holding on to rifles. It's not a bad purchase. This is probably the only weakness they have.
110 on the clock, and FPX were entertaining the idea of moving towards that Viper's Pit for a moment. And I almost wanted to say they still were. You can see them moving back and forth. And back and forth again we go. As these players move into middle, though, it's clear they want to split the A site. They want to pressure Viper from behind. The thing is, with Viper solo holding it, being able to see up above, remember, you can't make it past the rope with where they are. That ultimate could make all the difference, though. Look at them running for the hills.
Yeah, wasn't able to dodge it, so it has actually caught. Kesnet, though, is going to be getting a kill over the top, and Mazzino just pushing through mid. Has found another! The flank, though, coming through from Artis. The second player hiding within has made this at least a competitive round. A 2 versus 2. Xiao also having the res available. Might be able to bring someone back, but they are quite far away.
Yeah, you got to go back. All the way back to A lobby if you're going to be doing that. 15 seconds on the clock. A shock dart's still online, but it won't be doing anything, even if it hits damage. Xiao's got this plan secured. I almost feel like he'll run for the hills here, but the reality is if you do that, you isolate your teammate, and if you don't know, it looks like Nags is going to be taking you down. Zipan left alone, showstopper in hand. He pops it, he's looking for him, and he sees him up top. Just a moment too late, 7 bullets, and he'll find him with one of the last. 9 for FPX. Just 1 away from tying it up. From 3 to this. Utterly ridiculous. I mean, the attack side will be favored in a lot of rounds, but not this many normally.
Yeah, the Red Bull clutch coming through for Zipan as well. We are starting to see those superstars come online. It was definitely a little bit close. I feel like Nags got flustered there. Like he had the operator out, gets the first kill. You got very quick fire time on that. Tried to switch, switches to a pistol, switches back, switches to his gun. It just, I feel like he overthought that moment and probably could have just closed out there and then, especially with how aggressive his positioning was. And now, well, we're back with the Stingers again. We'll see if they can make it work this time.
It's a tall task. And interesting that Nags is playing the close angle, obviously wanting to grab an off angle, fade away. Players are coming up now to try and fake out that he's not actually here, and it's worked! Whether it's worked or they just left that completely unchecked, I'm actually banking on the latter, what it looked like. KRU with 1.
Yeah, even though he was so close to me, he doesn't actually manage to retrieve the gun, unfortunately. It drops in the other direction, so still just going to be the few headhunter bullets, and actually with the res online, it's just not going to matter so much. It's bought some time. They still have a stack up on this side of the map, but FPX realistically could fall back if they wanted to. I think that's the readout from KRU as well.
How often did we see this from KRU? Almost exactly the same on the attack side.
30 seconds left.
They sit as 5 inside that laneway and they wait. The funny thing is, FPX lost the opening duel. And yet now they're in a 5 versus 5, potentially retake. That KRU are going to have to mount with Stingers down a very long-range bomb side. And they've already used their Viper wall on the defensive side for A.
They're trying to break the wall with the Stingers. They did at least manage to do a little bit of damage, but not anything too crazy. And now closing down that distance is going to be so difficult. You're almost reliant on Nags to hit a crazy shot or two, but they actually get rid of one with the shock dart alone. Might make things at least a little bit more competitive. The spray down from Artis is not bad, but now they're going to use a res of their own, committing in the ultimates to try and win this. And They're having relative success. Saigetsu, though, shutting down a couple. Xiao with one more, and now it's left into the 1v1. And Naxi still got a stinger. Not the gun you want in this scenario. Xiao, not even particularly low, but he'll get it to half and goes for the spray. But Xiao will hold on again in the clutch.
A very close round to put us into a very close scoreline. First to 13, and into round number 21, they're neck and neck. The spike has been planted on all but 2 rounds so far. And I think that's definitely tangible. We've seen so many retakes having to be played. Coming into round 21, Artis is on fire. He's certainly recovered. Defensive side, some of those duels were a bit more challenging, but now that he has the freedom that the attack side brings, 18 and 14, just a remarkable recovery to leave this defensive side now on their last legs economically. And that means if FPX win this, short of a stinger round or something crazy, we're going to end up with OT guaranteed for the team that came into this half 9-3 down. And just a little extra sprinkle, insult to injury, this is KRU's map pick. I know we've said it, but like those kind of comebacks, they sting when it's on the battleground you chose.
Well, again, you can see the patience out from FPX. Expecting some level of aggression, expecting some information hunting, and just leaving Ardis to almost play with his opposition. Counter util. Actually, I think it was their util. Getting them a little bit stuck in the mud, but even still, plenty of time to play with. The wall's already been placed by Mazzino, not wanting to get caught out again. And they're even going to spot Angel. The thing is, though, this is somewhat of a ruse. The rest of the players are not committed to this side of the map just yet.
Artis, he can't take another step, or he's going to be detected by that trap down below. There's a Viper just around the corner. It'll all come down to timing, but with 20 seconds left, once FPX make a move forward on A, that's when the rotations will come in, when KRU will be a bit more hesitant to approach it with caution, but they've won the fights. They actually caught Artis lurking inside of Kitchen. They've stopped this push forward. They've dropped the spike, and there's no time, even if that fight was to go Angel's way, but it doesn't. KRU get out of this one with 4 alive, 11-10. That was a round that they desperately needed. Their economy was down to its final digits, but take a look at FPX. They're not quite in the same boat.
No, they got plenty to play with. Tour de Force for this round. Viper's Pit available as well, and in terms of ults, there's absolutely nothing on the other side. I think you are seeing the difference, though, of when KRU get the gambles right and when they get them wrong. Like, they had pretty much the full support of their squad. Mazzino gets the opener, the trades. Again, effective as they were on the attacking side. That's why they were so good.
Let's play.
Already, though, you see that Tour de Force come through and just denied off the back of the snakebite. Not going to allow Ardis that initial peak, and they're actually holding for Zipan more so in this space.
Really curious that Xiao is the one.
Oh, what? Oh, he was waiting for that exact play, and still, Nax has just been decimated.
Don't feel like that fight should have went quite the way that it did. The push up now for FPX looking good. They've already found their opening. We've got Tour de Force online, as we'd heard a moment ago. On both sides. But now just Ardis remains with that golden gun in hand. The spike, though, was waiting outside A. That was the interesting point at the very beginning. It's been this way as Xiao just sat there on the ramp, watched for a push. They've sent Saigetsu back after putting down that wall to watch the mid push. Very, very patient round from FPX, and it's evident that they are waiting for KRU to make a mistake. And in a 4v5, I mean, look, you do eventually want to push for information, but we've come to the last 30 seconds, and that still hasn't happened. So FPX will eventually have to just gamble forward.
And again, it looks like KRU have got it right in terms of where they're stacking up the site. They're relying on Mazzino on the other side of the map. It's just, can they do anything to actually deny this plant? If it goes down, it's going to be a very difficult position. And this late flank coming through from 2 players just makes it so easy on the cleanup. Wonderful stuff from FPX. And while Mazzino might just want to save the gun, he's at least going to try and make this a little bit more costly, attempting the 1v5, and if there's any man to do it, it would be him. A whiff shot, but eventually Angel peeks alongside his teammate, and after being that 9-3 down, after Mitch supposedly lifted the curse, we're now 11-11.
So Max doesn't have money. He'd already used his ult a couple rounds ago, so that's not in line to work with. Not saving that weapon there then becomes a very strange decision. Risk the 1v5 versus carry the weapon forward, give it to Nags, and be able to have a much more solid buy. I'm not sure I can necessarily get behind that, but we'll see if the reward is there.
That's the thing, it depends how aggressively he plays, because he has been doing like these very deep pushes. Oh my, okay. Well, it seems like FPX are trying to pick up the pace a little bit here. They haven't really found anything though, and the counter slows on the other side leave them a little bit trapped. Also, the amount of information that's already been found is huge.
That was a great 0 point that went through, actually forcing Zipan to throw away that ultimate a little bit earlier, or it would have just wasted away in his back pocket. Angel's trapped in the corner here. Maybe not trapped necessarily, as FPX are looking to push forward and help him out. He's got the foothold of the site, but now he's moving forward alone. Teammates not able to train just yet. It was for the information, and now the swings come through. The boom bot on Mazzino, and it's a distraction. He's swinging through with Klaus above, taking the double, and putting FPX again on the back foot. 2 versus 4. The op of Artist not given the opportunities, but now a chance with that Viper's Pit coming online. They're going to try to sneak up beside it, but finding the players inside of this will be a tough task. They haven't got the utility to push them out. They have to rely on the duels when they go running in. But look at the sneaky angle by Mazzino. He's creeping around the side. He's dropped the spike. And now they can just set their eyes on that. Oh!
Yeah, he's actually dropped it. Maybe hoping to try and find him within the pit, but instead, it hasn't really helped him out too much at all. It's going to be Klaus to actually give them that 12th round. And again, it seems like this deadly duo of Klaus and Mazzino within that A site is just so hard to deal with. Mazzino almost acting as some sort of distraction, as for the second time, Klaus is going to clean up the round. And that's the thing, it's like, I genuinely feel like if I'm FPX, I just keep leaning into that B site. They've had so much success catching out Nags in the last couple of rounds. He hasn't really been able to do too much. And I think that this A site hold, they almost just funnel them in using that wall.
Yeah.
And then the crossfires they have are fantastic.
You can literally see it there when Mazzino swings. He's like running, spraying the boombot down to keep himself alive. But the teammate clearly called like box, box, box. Because when Xiao swings out wide,
Zesht is the happiest man in the world. You just said that.
When Xiao swings out wide, he's staring at the box. He's like right on it and has to flick up and correct, while Klaus is happy as days. He's just killed a guy there. He's still aiming there. Oh, okay, I'll keep going, I guess. Like, that was fantastic. And I think that's something that has been missing. I mean, even thinking back to some of the other games we've cast here, Tom, we've had teams just like throwing themselves at times, like individuals thinking, this is my moment! And it's not. They get killed and then they're in a 5v4. Whereas here, it feels like every move is calculated and it's agreed on by the community. It's a voted decision. They're running a democracy on crew. No man's left behind.
Yeah.
Or in front by himself.
That's the thing. It now gives them the opportunity. The thing is, they are yet to string 2 rounds in a row in this defensive half. It has just been blips that they've been able to sort of pull off. And FPX, most of the time, have then just gone back to this B hit. I don't think they've actually failed with one yet. So I actually, no, they did. There was one where Kesnet basically retook the site on his own. But I don't think you can rely on that too heavily in the majority of cases. And again, Zipan already up above. It's a different angle. Naxi is just not able to kill him.
That wasn't even a leg shot. He survived that entirely. It's gone between the legs. Okay, FPX, that's a lifeline. Player surviving for now, but where do they go? They know that operator's going to be setting back up to annoy them as they make their way back through, and that's exactly what he does. Zipan taken down. He got away with it the first time, not the second. The res burned up, but this man is sticking around.
They might know there's 2 there now.
They should.
Because they will have heard the rifle shooting off, unless they're expecting that Nags has already left. But that's actually quite a bit of information available. He is now going to TP away, but I don't know if they're going to fall for this trap anymore.
Either way, though, when they cross him, they have to respect him with the operator in hand. And look at this flash setup, waiting for it. The success has been there almost every single time for crew. And here it is, Kesnet popping his ult. And, well, the success is not there this time. That much is very clear. Angel, though's gone down.
Oh, I don't think he saw him. Like, Klaus just tunnel visioned in, didn't even realize there was a player there. Mazzino has been able to find one back. It's turned into this 2v2, make that 3v2, as they're going to be able to get that res online. The aggressive push coming through Xiao, just taking a deep angle, a bit of a surprise position for them as they look to walk into the site, and his teammate will actually shoot just to try and not give it away. It's now left to the Clutch King again. The first one comes for free, trying to isolate it, and he pulls it off once more. Xiao in clutch situations, always unstoppable.
And you know what? On KRU's side, they did exactly what I said. They swung together. They did. Unfortunately, they were a bit too synchronized this time around. Oh, it's gross. Absolute. That was a collat. That was a collat. One bullet.
That's the thing.
One
I'm
bullet
almost
for two.
certain at this point the Red Bull make their money solely off this man.
Just a match.
They don't need anybody else to play for Red Bull clutches.
Red Bull see FPX are
Xiao.
playing, and they're
Yeah.
Cash, they're high-fiving in the office. They qualified, boys.
I
Let's
think
go.
they almost need to just solo sponsor him at this point, like get him in all of the ads, because he has done a fantastic job with the Red Bull clutch. Well, 12-12, OT secured by Xiao.
By Xiao, exactly. The Xiao show. Back for now, and wow, Artis, an opportunity.
Neither of them can get this opening kill.
It's those little angles, but they get the second. Zipan has this time the opportunity given, converted. They are sticking around.
There's 2 players.
With an op, with utility, with Zipan firing off nades. Now players are trapped in corners and destroyed. That was an absolute desolation. I mean, a firing squad setup that KRU walked right into.
That's what they were doing a lot when it came to their attacking side. I think FPX just almost went, screw it. If they're going to continue to try and just push B, let's just stack it early in the round. And we saw them try and do that a couple of times with Zipan and Ardis, like almost just put that firepower in place. But the fact is, this is the first time we truly saw it work. Now, KRU, as said, most of their defensive rounds were just blips on the radar. It was solo rounds here and there. They were never able to really string them together. They are very close to now losing their map choice from not only having a 3v1 map point, but also a huge advantage going into this second half. They now need to dig deep and find something here.
9-3 at the halftime. 9-2 at one point even.
Sure.
And here we are.
Sure.
It was 9-2, Tom. 9-2. The 9-2 curse. But 13 rounds now for FPX. KRU forced to take this timeout, coming into what could be the last round of OT on their map pick. Bind up next, and as you said, Tom, regardless, Bind and Ascent both look favored for FPX. If KRU were to take this series, it seems like they need IceBox in the back pocket, and that is not possible unless they push to another overtime. The good thing being, this is where they found success on the defensive side. They've got that operator in the hands of Nags. I mean, this was something to write home about in half number 1.
Well, I see if they're going to be able to get anything done here. By the looks of it, FPX are actually setting up for mid. Something we, again, haven't seen too much throughout this half. It was a push that was coming through from Ardis, taking that space. But whether he can actually do that as the full squad, that's a different story altogether. And Kesnit is watching for that exact position, but they managed to make a huge amount of space. They're going to get tagged up, but they've still pushed towards Delzik.
Let's see Angels starting to move back to B main very late on. It's just being re-peaked though. It was just being held by Nags, but looks like that shot won't be landed. The plant coming through, the wall being split open, but not in time. With the spike now down and a post-plant setup possible, FPX, they've got one of the more successful attacking rounds that we've seen of them. They, remember, closed out the last half with the Prime Gaming flawless on their attack, and now an opening duel ×2. Zipan in there with it. This is looking like it could be it for KRU. Nags holding on with one more frag, but they need so much more to go their way. The defuse has to be attempted soon, and that orb is going to be fading away. The push perfectly timed. Nags is alone. 2 players to root out, no time, nothing to block vision, and he is going to be swung and dealt with. 9-3, and FPX come all the way back into IceBox.